Hi, welcome back to the SunGrand channel. I'm Jerrel, the developer behind the Silver Falls games, and I'm mighty glad to see you join me here today. I'll be working on a few fun things with our upcoming game, Campfire Stories. What I want to focus on today is getting a few of some hazards and traps set up for our various environments. I'd like to share with you the process behind how to make these work in terms of logic and how to put them together and make them do a few different things, which will make it interesting for the player. So, I hope you've got yourself a nice coffee, and hope you enjoy today with our episode, rigging up our traps and building some environments for our Silver Falls games. Enjoy your coffee. Now, to get things started here, let's just make sure all of our objects are in working order. So, there are a few things that I have to conceal for legal and security reasons in terms of what I can show you with the project. But for starters, in general, uh, I'll see what I can share. What can I share here? Let's go ahead and pluck this guy out. Pluck. Fantastic. Now, where can I put this little fella? Oh, yes, that should be just fine. Now, we have a look at our object here. Ah, our inspector has disappeared. That may not have been a very good place to put that fellow. Let's go ahead and bring him back, why don't we? Let's make some room for him. Put him right here. Let's just have a brief look. There are some things I'd like to share with you that I think would be interesting. Now, we are looking at our hazard here. This is our buzz saw. So we have a few things here. We have an animator that controls the overall object, but I'm going to step down in the hierarchy, which I can't really show you. We have a secondary animator which controls the primary spinning of that, and inside of that we also have a damage zone. This is where a lot of our logic takes place. So the framework is called the Guardians framework, which I've been building over a number of games now. It has item data, which references items, which generally define, when I say item here, I generally mean an equipable weapon. So any uh, object that has hit frame data will draw its information. Let me see if I can bring that up, and I'll just very briefly show you some of the logic that we have here. So scratch. So there are a few things that can go on, but primarily what we want to look at is our damage output and our knockback force, our knockback time, and our stun time. So these are our basic values that are most important. Uh, we have the damage that our player receives, which would be 3 damage. The knockback force is 12, which is a pretty strong amount of knockback, and our knockback time 0.3 seconds, and our stun time, which means the player is not able to control their character for 0.9 seconds. Okay. There are a lot of other things here that involve combos. There's a lot of different properties. Uh, you can even have them have healing values. Let's ignore all that because it's not important for this situation. There's some interesting things such as cancel if owner is hit. So if this hitbox belongs to someone, say for example an enemy, you can cancel the hitbox so it is no longer active, etc. So let's go back to our buzzsaw. I'll show you something interesting here. Let's say I would like to put this buzzsaw here. And let's say I wanted to duplicate that and have a second buzzsaw. Let's put it somewhere a little more visible. How about that? We're going to Control D in Unity. We're going to duplicate it. Now, I have two scripts here. I have delay animator by seconds, and I have set animator speed, which allows me to delay and also slow down or speed up if I disable that. Let's make this the default one. This will be the modified one. Now, let's delay him by 3 seconds. We'll leave the animator speed at, actually we'll change it just so you can have a look. Let's set that to 5. We'll run it and have a look at what happens with our project here. Now, one of them should be moving at normal speed. You can see one started moving right away, and the other one waited 3 seconds before starting to move. It might be hard to tell, but this one is supposed to be moving a bit slower than the other because we did change the speed there. So, how about that? That's how you can arrange multiple hazards of the same type, but you can get them to do different things as well. So it's very simple. You can see how simple it is to change that due to how I've created these scripts. I can drag and drop them, I can disable them or enable them. And you can even do this. Let's go ahead and rotate this guy. So now he's like that. And I know that he starts at his starting position. Let's go ahead and run that and have a look. He waits his 3 seconds. And there we go. You can see why we have 2 animators. We have one animator that determines the spinning animation of the blade, and the animator higher up in the hierarchy controls the actual movement itself. You can see you can have a lot of fun placing your hazards around your stages for your players. Let's go ahead and get this started. Now you may have seen this funny little fellow rolling around like crazy. So what I actually want to do is set this up so that it swings from this particular point, and it'll move back and forth. So to get things started, we want to adjust our damage zone. So you can see the size here is not quite what it should be. Let's start adjusting some values. And you can see that our damage box, hitbox, is starting to make sense. It's a little high up. There, that seems to make sense. Now, you could use a capsule collider, but in terms of logic and performance in this situation, it doesn't matter. Precision for that sort of thing when the camera's so far back and the character has such a large hurt box to begin with, doesn't make difference in this situation. Okay, so if I select our graphics, I would like to select pivot point. Now, let's see. We want to affect our visuals, okay? And at the moment, our visuals are doing this. And that's not exactly how we want that to work. I'm actually just going to take the damage zone, and I'm going to make that a child of the visual parent. Let's see here. And what I will do now is move this down. Doesn't matter that it's dropping below the terrain for the time being. Go ahead and bring the visuals right up there. Let's see, pivot and center. Right, we want pivot. So, it wasn't quite enough. We're going to select those, bring it down again, and again we'll select the pivot point from our visuals parent object. You can see that we've gone a little too far in some places. We know what happens when you do that. So we will select our objects, go back to our visuals parent, and I think think I'm quite happy with that. I think that looks okay. I've just eyeballed it. No need for absolute precision here. It's not piano, is it? Now, I'd like it to scrape along the ground just a bit so we can have some neat particles work along with that. Okay? And we do have some particle effects here. Okay? So we have a few particles. What I would like to do is make it so the particles move in a direction like thusly. It could be moving in two directions, couldn't it? So let's just keep things simple then and have them go straight up just for now. Otherwise, I think I would have to set up two particle systems to play in either direction, which I can do, but for the time being, let's go ahead and just have them move straight up. I want to go to our shape here. Okay, we have this one. I'm selecting the different parts of our particle effect system. You can see that it's gone too far. Shrink that down like so. This gives a nice visual indicator to the player. It lets them know where this thing is making impact and contacting the ground and where things will probably be dangerous for them. Okay, that seems to be okay. We have our hazard animator, but I actually want to create a new one. So I'm going to create a new animation controller. This is going to be a hazard swinging log. Okay. Click back on our log here. And we have our hazard swinging log. Now, go ahead and press Control 6, which is a shortcut for the animation window. Let's go ahead and bring that on over here. It'll make that easy for us to see what's happening. Okay. Let's go ahead and create. And I will just call this generic swinging. That's off screen. That's a security reason why I can't share all the directories. Don't want to accidentally reveal any spoilers. So let's go ahead and add our property. And what's very important is to lock that down. If you have children objects that have their own animators, if you don't lock that down, it's going to switch the animation you are editing, and it's going to create a bit of a nightmare. So I like to lock that down with that padlock just there. And I want to select, graphic, and I'm actually going into visuals, and I will select the rotation for that. Let's go ahead and click the record button. And now on my hierarchy view, which is off screen, I will select my visuals object, and I think we can start here. About that. Oh, there is one minor thing that I wanted to do, and that is to change the scale because I believe this object is much too small. Let's see. So we have 70 degrees. And I'll go ahead and scroll out. I've got an idea of the length of time I want this to spin. Let's put that at 4. So at 2, let's see, 2 seconds. Yeah, just, oh, that is an accident. I did not mean to do that. Visuals. Let's make that positive 70, just like so. Okay, let's just hit play and we'll see how it looks. Okay, and that comes back down. I'd like to click this to go to the next keyframe, and let's go ahead and make it the same. So these two frames are the same. This is where it swings. Now you can adjust the curves so that as it reaches the center, it moves faster, and as it reaches the edges, it moves slower. So we may go ahead and do that just to make it more realistic. But before we do that, I'm going to stop the recording mode, and I'm going to adjust the scale for our log trap. Okay? I'm actually going to, let's see here. Now that I'm not in an editing mode, so let's go ahead and put that at 0. I'm actually just going to cheat here. Usually there are reasons why you should or shouldn't use scaling of a parent object, but in this particular situation, there aren't going to be any repercussions. So I will just scale that right. I'm going to zoom out to where the game camera normally sits, and I think that looks a-okay. Now then, I want it to look like it scrapes the ground, just there. Okay, that looks fun and threatening, and the player can jump over it like a fun game of jump rope on the playground. Let us hit our play button, see how it works out. Fantastic. And now you can see we hit the stop button just when we select our object. Let's see here. Visuals. Let's go ahead and put that back at 0. And now we want to have our particle effect system play. So the point at which it touches the ground, let's see here. The point at which we touch the ground is when the particle should play. So that would be right here. Yeah, let's maybe frame 60 just to keep that even. How about that? All right, so we will add our property, go to our graphic, our effect, and our particle system, and we will enable the particle system. So I will select our particle system, and you will see a property here. A little bit cramped for space, aren't we? That's all right. You can see a property here called play on awake. So when the object itself is enabled, it will play the effect. There are a number of ways to go about doing this, but I find this fast and easy with my workflow. So this is one way to do it. So I'll enable that, but there can be a bit of a funny quirk, so I like to make sure that there is a keyframe that says that it is disabled so that it absolutely stops and then starts. Otherwise, you can get into some funny situations where it won't play. So let's have a look here. And then here again. So 180 should be the frame where it plays again. Let's go ahead and just copy these keyframes, why don't we? And there we go. If we hit play, you won't see the particle system activate because this is just previewing the animation. We do want to adjust the width of our effects so that they reach the edges of our object. Okay, let's do that. Extend that out a bit. Extend this. This bounding box is for the cracks, so I'm actually going to bring that in a bit. I'm actually going to extend it sideways so it looks like it's scraping the ground a bit. Okay. Now, let's just move it away from the wall a little bit. We no longer require this object for scale. I like to keep them there so I know what scale the objects in the world have. So I'm going to hit the play button on the game itself and we'll see what happens. Okay, and you can see it sort of scraping the ground. So I can have two separate particle effect systems, and I can have them throw dirt in the angle that the uh, object is moving. So let's go ahead and grab our player character here. Where is he? All right, you can see we'll navigate him there. Oh, look out. All right, let's see if we can get him there just in time. And ouch, he took a 3. Ouch, he took another 3. And if you recall from our item data, our damage output for that attack was 3. Ouch. Okay, see if I can click this. Oh, he's getting away. Oh, there we go. We've got him. Okay, now we have our effects. You can see the hitbox on that now is visibly uh, identifiable. It's quite a simple box. Again, a capsule collider wouldn't have made a difference in this situation. And our damage zone. And if you have a look at the damage zone here, we have the knockback scale of 4. Now I set this here so I don't have to create too many duplicates of the item data itself to determine all the hitbox properties. So I put knockback scale. So if I say change that to, let's make that 1.5. This is going to be enormous now. And then we will select our player again. See what happens to him. Whoa, got knocked pretty hard there. See what happens to him now. So you can see he took a lot more knockback that time. And this is a swinging log, so it would have a lot more knockback on it, wouldn't it? Let's see. There we go. And that's how you would do your hazards and your traps for a video game. You can see you can spend hours and hours creating different animations, but what is so fantastic about this style of doing the animations, especially when you have animations nested for the children, is now you can replace this with a swinging axe. It can have different hitboxes. You can duplicate it. You can place it wherever you want. You can rotate it however you want. And because of the way that we've encapsulated the animation, so the animation is not tied to the main parent object itself, but to a child of the parent object, we can create as many as we want. We can put them in as many different places as we want. Let's go ahead and hit play on our video game. And you can see that they all work exactly the way they are supposed to. They have different positions, different rotations. Let's just go ahead now, make some fun modifications. Let's make this one double speed. And let's make this one delayed by 3 seconds. And let's make this one very slow. Turn off the delay on that one. And Maybe we can turn off the delay on this one as well. Let's hit play one more time and have a look at our magic here. There we go. You can see that one being held in place as it's waiting for the delay. And you can see they are all more dynamic now because they are moving a slower speed and they've been offset in terms of the time that they trigger. So you can see how you can line up multiple hazards in a row. You can have maybe a narrow corridor and the player has to time his or her jumps and movements to avoid getting hit by these powerful traps. Now, hit the hit data for these hazards is quite weak. 3 damage is not very much, but you can see how easy it is if you went to the item data and you can make each item more dangerous. So I hope you've enjoyed watching that and hope you've enjoyed checking out some of these other hazards as well. I'd like to give this one here just a little bit of shaking so that the player can tell when it's about to fall, and there's also a sense of looming threat as it falls a little bit. Then it gives a bit of a shake there so that the player understands, okay, I know when the timing is, I just need to get out. So if you get hit, you were warned. So I sure had a lot of fun spending time with you guys and giving you a bit of a look behind the scenes to see how development works when we're building these sort of objects. And if you've enjoyed, I hope you look forward to the next videos. There's a like and subscribe button somewhere. I'm not sure where, but I think you know where it is. And I'm going to get back to work here so I can make more of these stage components. I am, after all, making a video game that I hope I can get to you guys within a couple months. Thank you very much for joining me. I've been Jerrel from Sungrand. Please stick around. We should have more fun things to watch soon.